What's up, guys? This is the third episode of the 395 podcast. I'm your host, Chandler Cole, and I apologize to everyone who listens. I know it's been a while since I've done an episode, but I told myself I wanted to get a really good person in here to interview, and I looked around, and I found the right guy. I'm so glad to have him here today. Mr. Iron Cross from Castlewood, Virginia, has a gym here in St. Paul. How you doing, man?
How you doing there, Chandler?
Doing good. So, for y'all don't know who Iron Cross is, he's a local wrestler, but he's a local wrestler now. His past is incredible, the things that he's done, and I'm going to let him tell y'all a little bit about himself because clearly I could not do it justice. So, I'm going to let him tell y'all a little bit about himself and what all he's done.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit because almost 35-year career in pro wrestling.
Oh, we're here to listen.
It's a long trip, a long journey. I've been blessed. God's really blessed me. All I wanted to be when I was a kid was a professional wrestler, and I got to live out my dreams. And that's why, if you want to tell everybody, you're sitting in my ring right now.
I am.
I'm Samson's gym. That's why I have this gym here, to train young guys to help them live out their dreams that I got to do. So
absolutely, I thought that was awesome. I walked into the gym to do this interview, and he said, "We'll do it right here in the ring." So right now, I'm currently sitting on the side of his ring. I think this is awesome. I'm a huge WWE fan. I follow the indie scene. I'm tickled to death to be able to interview him today, and.
We might get some body slams going here in a minute.
I'm gonna let him drop me. Just because if you ever get the chance to let a legend drop you, you got to do it. You can't say no. But no problem. The crazy thing is before you came, you sent me that message earlier today. You said bring an 8x10.
Right.
And
I want to hang you on the wall of fame here at Samson's Gym. If you look around, it's like a museum in here.
It is. There's everyone up here, and I'll tell you. The crazy thing is I got the 8x10. I'm gonna sign it right here in a second. But my girlfriend, I messaged her. I said, "Hey, we got to get this 8x10." And she said, "Well, who's it for?" And I said, "You don't understand." I said, "The Iron Cross asked me for my autograph. I got to get it." Right, so, a lot of times people ask me for autographs, but, I stay super busy. And I apologize for all the people I haven't got autographs to. But when Iron Cross asks for your autograph, you know that you're doing good. So
this is an exclusive right here.
This is an exclusive, and I'm going to get everyone else who's
asked
hot
off the press right here. He's just pulling it out of the pack.
Right off the press. And I do this thing, man, where I try to do all my pictures black and white, and I sign them in gold because it's the color of champions.
Hey,
so I always try to do that. So let's get this.
For gold, there it is. You can hear the squeak in there.
So get one to Iron Cross. And this is still unreal to me. So let's do it right on the belt.
Well, I thought about body slamming, but after seeing you in that picture, you look awful tough and mean right there, man.
That was actually after back in, we was talking. I went to California, went to Vegas, tried out for the Ultimate Fighter. Things didn't work out. And I came back in July, and I actually won my first professional belt. So that was real awesome. Good. After they rejected me, I felt like I had to come back and do something. So they found me the toughest opponent they could. And I came back and I beat him. He was undefeated, ranked in the United States real high. Right. And I finished him, and it really motivated me to keep working. I brought this little baby girl into the world. So I took some time off.
Congratulations on that.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But took some time off, but absolutely. So this is yours. This is your copy.
Thank you, man. That's going on the wall, of course.
And I cannot believe I just signed an autograph for Iron Cross.
That's awesome, man. You talking about a little girl? My daughter, she's going to be 28 here before long. But back when we was on the road wrestling, that's why I bought this gym. Out on the road all the time wrestling. We decided to have a family. It's like you got to get a business, got to get something.
Which I shaved my beard, looking for a big boy job now, so I completely understand that. So let's go all the way back to, you're from Castlewood.
Right.
Who were some of the wrestlers that you watched as a kid that made you? You said you lived out your dream. Like, right. Who are some of the wrestlers that you watched that motivated you and influenced you to become a wrestler?
When I was a kid, we got 3 channels on the TV, and this is going way back. We're talking about the 70s here, but Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and this is stuff that you probably don't know about. You're going to have to Google some of this stuff.
I know what Mid-Atlantic is. That's what I do
Wrestling,
know.
Then we got Southeastern Wrestling out of Knoxville, and Mid-Atlantic Wrestling is out of Charlotte. Of course, you had Ric Flair and Greg Valentine and Blackjack Mulligan. These are the guys that I grew up on watching as a kid. And then on Southeastern Wrestling, you had the Fullers, you had the Mongolian Stomper. And, the crazy thing about it, years later, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, my favorite was Chief Wahoo McDaniels. He was an Indian wrestler. I got to wrestle him in the 80s, Roanoke Civic Center in a cage match. I'm looking across the ring. Here's Chief Wahoo McDaniel. It's crazy. Mongolian Stomper, Southeastern Wrestling. As a kid, scared to death of him. We go to shows, he'd come at us, we'd run up the bleachers, run from him. I ended up getting to wrestle him. So
childhood dream lived out.
But as a kid, at first, I was a motocross racer. I was always into sports. Wanted to be a race car driver. Then we'd go to Coburn to the races. One Saturday night, I'll never forget it. We come home from the races. I'm in the living room playing with my little Matchbox cars, and all of a sudden, my dad flips over the TV. Channel out of Asheville, North Carolina, WLOS. I still remember it. Mid-Atlantic Wrestling was on. From that time on, I was hooked. I forgot about racing, forgot about motocross racing. I wanted to be a professional wrestler, so I bought me a little 110-pound weight set, the old plastic weights that you get full of sand. Turned my mom's dining room into a gym. I'm probably 12, 13 at the time, so don't really know what I'm doing, but all I know is I got the dream, My friends didn't want to hang out with me anymore because every time they come around me, I was grabbing them, chopping them, putting them in the figure four leg lock, They wanted to play softball, and I was wanting to wrestle, but they weren't into that kind of stuff.
I remember those days, man. I was talking to my friend, and that's the bad thing about growing up is, you see all your friends come together during like funerals and stuff. So we had to go to a funeral. I seen one of my best friends, and I was telling him, I said, you know what? I was like, do you remember the time you let me jump off my swing set and frog splash you? And I was like, just for all the neighbors. We didn't record it, nothing. I was like, but you let me frog splash you to win a match. And he was like, yeah, and I never let you do it now because you're way bigger than me. Yeah. So, and sadly we ain't got that swing set no more. But no, I just, for me, I was born in '95, so a lot of the history I had to learn about, Ric Flair, and then, Stone Cold started like down in Texas, wasn't it? Down at the.
I remember him in Memphis too. I actually started in 1984, a long time ago. Then we come into Memphis, a guy named Dutch Mantell. Somebody sent one of our tapes wrestling. That's me and my college buddy that I actually trained him to wrestle. We just wrestling, doing independent shows, going to different towns, different places, and it was we get booked one night in Atlanta, Georgia. Next night we're up in Pennsylvania somewhere. Next night we're in Kentucky somewhere. And it's funny, it's the Rock and Roll Express. Ricky Morton. I'll credit Ricky for giving me one of my first breaks because we were the $1 Billion Babies. We had the blonde hair, we had the pink robes and the pink boots. They were the Rock and Roll Express. So everywhere promoter, it looked good to put the two tag teams together. So everywhere we'd go, just about, they would book us against the Rock and Roll Express. Here we are, here one night, here the next night, the other next night. We was in somewhere in Kentucky wrestling. Ricky had me in a chin lock, and he says, because up until then, we're just independent guys trying to make it, weekend warriors. He said, do you want to do this full time? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, I'm going to have Dutch Mantell. He'll call you and give you a starting date in Memphis. And this is back before Vince had took over everything. A couple territories were still left. The Memphis territory run by the Jarretts and Jerry Lawler was still like a little independent league that was still going on its own, running weekly shows, and the wrestlers were getting to wrestle every night. So he said, a couple weeks, Dutch will give you a call and give you a starting date in Memphis. So true to his word, a couple weeks later, my phone rings. It's Dutch Mantell. Tells us to be at TV in Memphis. So, we go down there and start wrestling in Memphis full time. At that time, you're wrestling, 7 to 9 times a week. And that's what the guys I train nowadays, that's what they're missing in today's wrestling. You get to wrestle maybe once or twice on the weekends, sometimes just 4 times a month or something. Back then, you got to wrestle every night, and you got to be in there with somebody that was a lot better than you were and knew a lot more than you knew. So you got to learn that way. So it was like was a place that we got to learn how to wrestle, learn what to do, when to do it, and what not to do, if you see what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm getting way off course here.
No, this is exactly what I want to hear, man. And do you, by any chance, do you still keep up with the wrestling, like on what they put on TV today and stuff?
I watch it some because it's all we got nowadays. But when I was it was WWF. We went there in '89. More as like enhancement talent, we call it, in a job.
Right.
But it was back then we were traveling around wrestling. That's what I did for a living. You didn't have another job. I just wrestled. So we got a chance to go to the WWF, and that's a story in itself too. I'm sitting at home one night. I just got through wrestling in Kentucky, out in a pasture field, dressing in a horse stall. Probably in front of 100 people. My phone rings, and it's a guy named Nelson Royal. You have to Google this name too. He used to be the junior world heavyweight champion. He actually had his own organization in the Carolinas. We'd wrestle for him every now and then. Long story short, Vince McMahon needed some guys, to come do TV. Back then it was WWF Superstars of Wrestling and WWF Wrestling Challenge. This was before Raw and SmackDown days. But anyway, my phone rings. Remember, it's a late Sunday night. Phone rings. It's Nelson. He goes, "Do you want to go wrestle for Vince McMahon, the WWF?" And I was like, my heart's beating out of my chest.
I guarantee it.
I said, yeah, that's what I've been waiting on. I've been wrestling about 4 years at the time. This is the big time. Call him. He said, "Well," he said, "we'll send you plane tickets." We had to go to Charlotte to catch our flight because they wouldn't. I said, "Well, I live in Castlewood." "Well, where's that at?" I said, "We got the Tri-Cities Airport." He said, "Vince ain't going to do commuter flights, so you're going to drive. We have to drive to Charlotte, North Carolina to catch our flights." But anyway, WWF, the big time. We get there. I call my buddy. They need 2 or 3 other guys, so we're all pumped. We're all fired up. We get to Charlotte, get to the airport, get on the plane. We fly to Worcester, Massachusetts. That's right outside Boston. Man, we get there, and I know you've seen the movie The Titanic.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You remember the part where Jack says, "Last night I'm sleeping under a bridge, and here I am tonight with all you fine people." Remember when we were sitting in the ship?
I remember that.
Well, that's how I felt. We get there and catering. They're feeding us. I'm looking, all my heroes from growing up here. There's Hulk Hogan, Greg Valentine, Ronnie Garvin, Dusty Rhodes, George the Animal Steel. I'm sitting there eating my food, and I'm looking down the table at all these people thinking, is this for real?
Is this really going on right now?
But we would go there, maybe once or twice a month. They'd fly us in for a couple of dates. We'd do TV, get to eat all we could eat.
That's the best
We're
part.
going to be back eating. We're going to be eating tuna fish and raw potatoes here when we get back to. That's what we ate when we was in Memphis. We all lived at the Congress Inn in Nashville. And we'd get us a bag of potatoes and get us some tuna fish. That's what we survived on because you wasn't making a killing back then, but you was getting to wrestle every night.
But you was trying at the same time. Just from and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But just from what I've studied and stuff, back in those days, it was about the Hulk Hogan bodies, the big bodied. So I guess you'd kind of want to watch what you ate. So
yeah,
I get,
and that's the thing. And this is going back what you'd asked me earlier before I got off course here. When I first wanted to be a wrestler, everybody's like, "How you going to do it?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm going to do it." But anyway, I was at my grandmother's. Like I said, this is going back to the beginning here, just for a quick story. I was at my grandmother's, and I'm a teenager. I'm thinking, I want to be a pro wrestler. And she goes, "You had a cousin, distant cousin. He was a pro wrestler." Man, my ears perked up, and I was like, "Where is he?" She goes, "He lives in Bluntful, Tennessee. His name is Big Ed Wolf." He had actually got hurt back in 1975. He got threw out of the ring in Johnson City, and these old wooden-type chairs, not metal ones like we're sitting on, but stuck through his leg, and it set up gangrene. He had to have his leg amputated.
Oh, my
But he was a big
gosh.
he was a Tennessee powerlifting champion, and he still had a gym in his home. So man, I looked him up, went to his house, pecked on his door, told him who I was. "Well, I'm your relative. I want to be a pro wrestler." At that time, I'm probably about 185 at that time, probably about 19 years old.
So
He
it's
goes,
still pretty good size.
"That's what you're talking about, size." He goes, you're too little. It ain't like today. You didn't have cruiserweights like today. The junior heavyweight champion is probably 220. That's considered a small guy in wrestling back then. He's like, you're too little. Of course, he didn't want to get me in it anyway, where he got hurt. He was thinking, I don't want to get this guy hurt. But he's seen the determination. I worked out with him. Come back a week later, I weighed about 190. I'm at home. I'm eating half-done steaks, blood running out of them. I'm eating peanut butter and honey sandwiches. I'm drinking milkshakes, making my own protein drinks. It was right after the Rocky movies. I was cracking raw eggs and putting vanilla extract, pouring milk, putting it in a blender and just drinking it so I could put on weight. Probably a month or two later, I come back pecking on his door. I'm 200 pounds. He goes, I didn't want to get you in this business. He said, but I see you're serious about it. So he called up his buddy, Ron Wright. Ron said, I don't train people anymore. I'm like, but I do know somebody here in Kingsport who probably train you. Big Tony Peters. I just got a picture of him on the wall. I'll show you here later. He's about 6'3", 325 pounds. Former Vietnam vet. He didn't really want to fool with you. But he trains guys. So I gave me his number, called him up. He goes, I got two other guys that want to train. Be in Kingsport at the Low Mart grocery store. Like a Low Mart grocery store. What are we going to do there? Eat more or something? But anyway, we get there. There's me and two other guys show up I've never met. We go downstairs, dim lit building. There's a mat on the floor, like these mats we got in here on the floor, like a high school wrestling mat. And that's it. He starts body slamming us. Trains. Of course, we paid him up front, the full amount up front.
Just in case he decided not to come back.
Well, his thinking was, these guys are going to pay me the full amount up front, then I'm going to beat them up and they ain't going to come back. He ain't going to have but one session, is what he's thinking. But anyway, one guy didn't come back. Come back next week, it's me and just one guy. A couple weeks, it dwindled down to just me. The guy broke his tailbone. So Tony's like, well, there's another guy here in Kingsport's got a ring. We're going to go to his house and train. I heard the word ring. I was thinking, yes, because I've been training on this concrete floor on a mat. I go home at night, beat up, can't even lay down in my bed. I'd sit up and just ache and hurt from where he just beat me half to death.
Now, was you getting backdropped and everything on a mat like
slammed
this?
Slammed and beat just on
my
mat.
goodness.
He didn't want you to come back. You know what I'm saying? But I guess he saw that I wasn't going to quit because this was my dream. It's like I got to be a wrestler. I got to make it. So he takes me to the ring. It's like heaven. It's the first time I got in a wrestle ring. Heck, I was bumping all over the place. It's got a spring in the middle of it. And it's got some give. And don't get me wrong, it still knock a breath out of you when you hit the mat. But it's a lot better than a concrete floor with a mat on it.
For sure. So
anyway, I trained a couple of weeks. I should have started at the beginning. We're bouncing all over the place. It's one of these movies where you got to start. We start at the end, go in the middle, and start at the beginning, and go back to the middle. But this is, when I was training, after I've probably been training maybe a month. One of my buddies calls and says, the guy where we had the ring at his house, he calls. We got an opening in North Carolina for a 2-day shot. You want to go? I'm like, I'm not ready. I've just been training for a month. He said, well, I've seen you train a couple times. He said, I believe you're ready. You just have to listen. Just go down there. We just need an extra body. So the guy that's training me said, I got an outfit I'll sell you and a pair of boots for $35. So, man, here I come home. A pair of boots, like 2 sizes too big. A wrestling outfit didn't really fit. But, man, I got boots and I got trunks.
That's all you needed.
I'm a wrestler now. So we take off. This place called Moxville, North Carolina. I tell everybody Moxville, they say Knoxville. No, I say not Knoxville, Tennessee. This is Moxville, North Carolina, right outside of Winston-Salem. Well, anyway, we get there. I walk in. The motor walks up to me and he reaches me another outfit. It's Mass Superstar number 2. He said, you're a Mass Superstar number 2 tonight. Put this on. My buddy leans over and says, tell him you've been wrestling for about a year. What? My first match. Put the outfit on.
And now, how long was you in for? This is only a month into training.
Yeah, just been training. Besides getting beat up in the Low Mart grocery store. So here I am. I'm nervous, wreck. I shouldn't even be here. They got me in the mask superstar, number 2. Then the promoter walks in after my buddy tells me to tell him I've been wrestling for a year. How long have you been wrestling? Probably about a year. So, okay, we put you against, and I still remember my first opponent. You know, you never forget your first opponent. Jim Gallagher was his name. He's a veteran, been wrestling probably 15 years. He looked at me and he could tell that I was green as I could be. But anyway, we go in the ring. We had a fairly decent match. They've done real good. I took good, we call it bumps, good slams. Get back to the dressing room. Now my buddy says, go ahead and tell him. I said, this is my first match. Well, the promoter didn't believe me when I told him it was my first match. So that made me feel even better, you know, that I couldn't convince him. I said, no, I'm serious. This is my first time I've ever been in the ring, you know, for a real match, my first match. He's like, oh, you done good. But anyway, he booked me from then on. It was a guy named Johnny Hunter that was booking me down in North Carolina. So that's how I got started. That's how I got going. Ended up 4 or 5 years doing that, wrestling around the independents. That's when I ended up in the WWF.
That's awesome, man. So out of you said 35 years of wrestling.
Right.
What's the biggest you've ever been? What's the most match you've ever put on?
You know, I always looked better, not better, but bigger than actually what I actually weighed. You know, everybody always guessed me around 240, 250, but probably, you know, 225 is probably the biggest weight that I was ever at. But I guess it's my frame, the way I always trained. I did some powerlifting.
Still in some pretty good shape. I've seen you wrestling the last few years. I mean,
yeah. Well, I tried to keep myself, and that was my main thing. You know, especially what you say. You know, the Iron Cross. That come probably about 95 or 96 when I started. When I decided I wanted to wear the mask.
Do the Iron Cross.
Do the Iron Cross.
Now, what was the very first name you went by?
Very first name, let's see.
The evolution of
the
evolution of the Iron Cross.
About 20 different aliases probably, but the main ones were probably, like I said, I started the first one on the Superstar number 2, and then Mike Sampson. I wrestled Mike Sampson. And we were a tag team called the $1 Billion Babies. There might be somebody out there that remembers that. You know.
What was your name when you was in there? Still Mike Sampson, or
when I was where right now?
The $1 Billion Babies. What was your name?
Mike Sampson.
Okay.
It was $1 Billion Babies. Mike Sampson. My partner was GQ Stratus. You know, we were from the lap of luxury.
And y'all were ranked pretty high in the world at one point, weren't you?
We done pretty good. You know, we got a lot of press. You know, Bill Apter and all the wrestling magazines. Inside Wrestling, The Wrestler, and Pro Wrestling Illustrated, probably the top 3 magazines. They gave us a lot of coverage. Like I said, we left the Memphis territory. Then we went to work for, remember the name, the Von Erichs. You know,
oh, I know.
Erichs.
Yes, that's legendary status there.
Well, they merged with ICW out of the Savoltis out of New York, and they called it International World Class Championship Wrestling. It was a mouthful. So we were the tag team champions. Kevin Von Erich was the heavyweight champion. So you know, we'd go do tours. We'd start up in the lobster capital of the world, Rockland, Maine. We'd start in Rockland, Maine, and come down through Wolfboro, New Hampshire, Staten Island, New York. We'd fly over to the Caribbean, over to Nassau, Bahamas, and do a big stadium show over there. So. But anyway, you know, we were the $1 Billion Babies, and like you said, you know, I pulled out the magazines on him here a few minutes ago.
He did. I got to see some pretty neat stuff, and I remember, you know, I'd say probably a year and a half ago, I came up here and he pulled one out, and he actually showed me where at one time, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time, Shawn Michaels. He was ranked in front of Shawn Michaels, and that itself is an amazing Like I said, when my girlfriend asked me, she was like, talking about, oh, we got to get this picture. It's like, I've been a fan of yours ever since. I remember when I was a little younger, I came and watched you wrestle, and I was like, I need to learn more about him. So I just started asking questions to people, like, who is Iron Cross? You know, they say, oh, you know, the Samson's Gym. And I was like, well, you know, who is he? And I just started asking people. They was like, well, he wrestled in the WWF. And I was like, well, I got to meet him. Somehow I got to meet him. That's when, you know, my friend Alan, he asked me to come down here and box with him. First question I asked was, is Iron Cross going to be there? That's the first question I asked. So this is definitely this is by far it's tickling me to death, and I'm excited I get to actually sit and talk to you. I'm still starstruck right now. You get to look around and see some of these pictures.
I'm honored to be on your podcast. I mean,
I'm tickled to death.
Somebody even cares about the career. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and like I've been a huge WWE fan my whole life. People still ask me, there's a show in Pikeville this weekend or next weekend, and I told my boss I work for. I work with the DJ company, and I was like, man, I gotta go. Like, if you can hook us up, if you can go talk to them, because he works over there as well. I was like, let's try to go. I just want to, wrestling is one of them sports that it gets so criticized, but they don't realize. I tell people all the time, it's like, well, it's scripted, it's fake, stuff like that. But in my eyes, it's like, it might be, but those are athletes.
That's what I'm saying. You have to. We're stuntmen, actors, doing real life stunts. Sometimes we get one take at it. You know what I'm saying? So
you don't get to close the thing and say, all right, take two.
I can remember being back to the WWE, WWF days. I'm standing there. Vince McMahon's got the headset on, getting ready to send you through the curtain. There's 15, 20,000 people out here, and they're broadcasting all over, on TV, national television. So, and butterflies were there, the heart's pumping. The worst thing you don't want to mess up, because you want to come back. So maybe go up. And back then, it was actually bigger than it is today, as far as drawing crowds. If you go back and look in like '89, when I was actually there wrestling, Hogan was the champion, and they actually drew more people, averaged about 10,000 to 20,000 people, per show. We always wanted to be booked on the show where Hogan was on, because you got.
Oh, he was the man back in the day.
Sold out when Hogan's on, whatever show he was at. He's actually the first guy I ever met when I got into WWF.
So what made him, your opinion, what made him stand apart from the rest?
It was the look. He'll even tell you he was there at the right time, right situation. He come in, he just done the Rocky movie, Thunder Lips Baby. You remember he was Thunder Lips on Rocky 3?
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then he was working for Vern Gagne in the AWA at that time, and Vince brings him in to beat the Iron Sheik. He's his top heel, top bad guy. And Hogan, he just come in. It was the right time. American made. Here's Hogan. At that time, he was 320 pounds, just mass, just a big man.
Now, was that like the WWE taping him at that, or was that what he was? He was really that big.
He was pretty close. He's definitely pushing 3.
Now, what did he?
You always embellish it a little bit.
What did he size up as far as height? Like how?
I'd say he was good 6'5", probably.
Okay.
He was a big man.
Still a big guy,
Big
I'm looking
guy.
at this picture behind you. You got a picture of Hulk Hogan right behind you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him and I'm like, it's so crazy how big he truly was.
Yeah, he just had that look, and
super tan, blonde hair.
He was big. Vince McMahon was a big man. People ask me, I said, I believe Vince was actually bigger than Hulk was when I seen him. He had big, broad shoulders and big arms. I mean, when I our first night in the WWF, WWE, Vince McMahon comes right up to you, shakes your hand. How you doing? Glad you made it. How was your flight? Anything I can do for you? And I'm thinking, man, this guy's huge. I was expecting. I didn't pay much attention to him when you see him announce it on television, but
they have some good genetics.
They do.
They do, because Shane is also, I know they tape him at like 245, but that's pretty accurate as well. I mean, he's a taller, bigger guy, which most wrestlers are. Like Undertaker's 6'10". That blows my mind.
I started out with Undertaker down in Memphis. We come in from Dallas.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, he wasn't the Undertaker at the time, was he?
No, he was. I said, what was he at the time? He was the Master of Pain.
Master of Pain.
I remember we used to Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis. We'd sit there and we'd playing cards and stuff.
College basketball player, wasn't he?
Yeah, we'd drive in from here. Of course, 10-hour trip to Memphis. From here, we'd drive all the way to Memphis. He'd drive in from Texas. So we'd get there and everybody'd be just crashed out in the locker room. Take you a nap before you wrestle stuff. But yeah, he was a big guy. He actually, you see the picture of me and Ric Flair on the wall when you come in. He's actually the one that took the picture.
Took the picture. Yeah. That's awesome.
Because I knew Mick Foley. I started out with him too. He's been up in New York and now WCCW. He was there at that time. So we got to WCW and places like that. that's where me and Mark and Mick Foley, I'd hang out with these guys because it'd be like if we both, if me and you ended up in the WCW or something, or WWE now, we don't really know all these other guys much. We sort of just hang out together and put our bags near each other so we can just sort of hang out. That's the way it was with them.
Now, did you try to meet the other people, or was that?
You just met everybody. Back then, it's not like it is today. You didn't have YouTube, cell phones, and all that stuff. You was on the road so much, you just see the guys just like a part of your family. So you really.
I guess you clicked with whoever you was around the most.
You'd find guys that you hang out with. I'd find somebody like to train, like to go to the gym, do whatever. Somebody that was all traveling. Like I said, we stayed there at the Congress Inn or Nashville. They give you like a weekly rate.
Okay.
To stay there, so everybody.
Pretty good. I mean, compared to, I guess if they're giving you a rate, at that time, what was you getting? If it's not a personal question, what was you getting paid per show? Because back in those days, the price is a little different now.
Oh yeah.
So. What was a good little payday to wrestle for a night? I mean,
we were talking about Memphis. They was working you every night, so your payoffs wasn't. They guarantee you maybe if at Memphis maybe 125, 150, which is pretty good back in the 80s.
For one show or for all
one show?
Oh then, gosh, that's real
some
good.
Some nights were $45, $50 nights, but a lot of times what they showed you that you was going to make. We'd always get paid on Wednesdays in Evansville, Indiana. There was a place there that would cash your checks for you. There'd always be a note stuck in, we owe you this much money. You know what I'm saying? If they guaranteed you like 75, they might have give you 60 for that show.
We owe you 15.
Right, owe 15. then the next night, Louisville probably been 50. We give you 35, but we'll make it up to you next week. It's just always that kind of deal. You never got what you thought you was going to get. So I tell my guys now, I said, wrestling's always, it's either a surprise or a letdown. It's one of the two. It's never what you're expecting. So, but it was enough, you made a living. But like I say, you'd live on tuna fish and raw potatoes most of the time because you weren't making a killing.
Which my uncles used to tell me stories. They'd mow yards for like 50 cents a yard. Right. And they said, back when they were real young. And then they said they would ride to the store. And for 25 cents, they could get a drink, a soda, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, that's crazy now because you go to the store and get a bag of chips and a soda, you're looking at like $5.
Oh, yeah, you can't survive on that nowadays. I mean, you can go to the Krispy Kreme donut back then. Well, then you get 2 donuts and a Coke for $1.
That's wild. That's so good.
That was dessert, as a meal sometimes.
Right. So, all right, so over the years, you're talking about you going to the WWF and, Vince McMahon greeting you and stuff. Yeah. How am I trying to word this? What is your opinion on how Vince McMahon has stayed on top so long? That's one thing that, you see organizations come and go, but the WWE doesn't seem like it's going anywhere and its product's pretty good. But why do you think Vince McMahon has been able to run that for so long?
Well, Vince, he don't panic is the thing, and he's all business. He works. He was at it. He's behind the scenes. Even people see him on Raw today. Well, Vince is here tonight just because he walks out on camera. No, Vince has been back there the whole time. He's running the show. He's telling people what to say on the microphones. He runs. It's all the Vince McMahon show. When I was there, he's in the back. He's running everything. He's checking on everything. He knows everything that's going on. So that's why I think he's stayed on top so long, is because he don't panic when other organizations come in try to take from him because he knows what he has. He knows what he's doing. And when we wrestled for him, we loved it. He took care of us. Like you say, we got to fly all over. It's like
right.
Joining the military, not have to go to war. Vince is flying us all over we're getting to see the world, and he's paying for it.
Well, see, I'm really good friends with Kerry Morton, which is Ricky Morton's son.
Yeah, I know.
And Ricky Morton got he got inducted into the Hall of Fame a few years ago, right. And I talked to him about it, and we conversated, and he was telling me about how much they catered to him and how I can remember him posted on Facebook, and he said, hey, if any of my friends are in Florida, we got extra tickets for tonight's WrestleMania.
Right.
And I was supposed to be in Orlando that weekend, and I was like,
right.
If only I was down there.
So you're talking about Vince right there again. We got there our first night in WWE. They call us the Charlotte guys. We'd fly out of Charlotte every time. who are we? We're just guys to get there. We're going to take somebody's finisher and get beat on TV in 2 minutes. First person that comes up to me is Vince McMahon, asking me, what can I do for you? Is everything okay? I'm thinking, do you know who we are? We're coming here. We're just the jobber guys. But he treated everybody with respect, and all the wrestlers did. It's like, because our job was to make the guys' moves look good, to get them over. So they was more respectful. When I was in the NWA and WCW, they were trying to get to the WWF. But the guys that were already in the WWF, guys like Roddy Piper, Dusty Rhodes, when I was our Ultimate Warrior, see Hogan and Garvin, all these guys, they was already there, already made it. So they was, what am I trying to say here? They appreciated what you did for them more than WCW. They're hurting guys. You go to WCW, you got to protect yourself because we're wrestling the Steiner brothers. They're trying to tear your head off with the Steiner line, and they're out to. They're trying to hurt you.
Not professional, right. Not professional at all.
So it was a lot better. It was a lot better than the WWF back then. But the WCW guys, the NWA, were the ones I grew up on.
Yeah.
So it was ironic that I went to the WWF first. Then a couple years later, ended up being in WCW and the NWA, and got to wrestle with Flair and all those guys. And just talking about. I remember the first night going back to Ricky Morton again. I think we're in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. WCW. He goes, "Have you met Rick yet?" We're talking about Ric Flair. I'm like, "No." "Hey, Rick, come here." He comes over and he introduces Ric Flair to me, shakes my hand. Man, this is surreal. Can't believe it. I'm sitting here. Rick sits down beside him and starts putting his boots on. I'm sitting there putting my boots on. And it's like going back to the childhood days, dreaming, watching wrestling, dreaming of being in these magazines and that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, man, here I am sitting beside Ric Flair. He's lacing his boots and I'm lacing my boots. This is unbelievable. But it meant a lot more to me, I guess, being around the guys that I grew up on. My guys that were my heroes as a kid that I got to hang out with and talk to. And got to work out with them, Rick would be like, "Who wants to go work out in the morning?" Yeah.
First one's hands up.
You'll be here so-and-so. And you need to walk in the gym one time with it's me and my buddy, Ric Flair, Kevin Sullivan, Lex Luger. You talk about turning some heads. Rick had on the polo shirt. He's got the hair. Of course, he walks in the gym. Woo!
So he would work out in a polo?
Yeah.
Just in the short shorts?
This is back in the Zubad days. We had the balloon pants, the MC Hammer pants.
Okay, yeah.
Fanny packs and MC Hammer pants, So that was back in those days. But man, you go into the gym, Ric Flair, the whole place stops, the Nature Boys here.
So I hope this ain't too personal of a question. I know I've asked that once.
Go ahead.
But, you see a lot of wrestlers like Ric Flair. He done a special a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake, Scott Hall,
right.
Wrestlers like that who, along the way got into some bad things on the road and
right.
constantly, and a lot of people don't know this about the Iron. Well, they do know about the Iron Cross. It's new to me. I'm sure most people know. But you're really strong in faith.
Yes.
Do you believe that, your faith helped you stay? Because, I've never heard of any pop-up incidents of Iron Cross, but it's so sad to see some of them stories. I don't know if you've kept up with Diamond Dallas Page, his yoga.
Right.
He's a blessing,
right.
And he's really helped a lot of those guys out. And it's like, do you believe that your faith helped you along the way, not go down all those roads?
Most definitely. See, I started wrestling in '84, got married in '85. Then my wife went to a little church here in Castlewood, Virginia, called Emmanuel Chapel. And, we received our Lord Jesus Christ as our personal Savior in 1986. And man, as soon as I got saved, I started witnessing. Somebody gave me a book by a preacher called Dr. Norval Hayes. And it was on how to be a soul winner. This is all new to me. I said, man, I've got a platform here as a wrestler. So I went out and bought me some little tracts on how to get saved. And I rolled them up, taped them up so I could throw them out even to the balcony. So when I come out to wrestle, I got my mom. She made me a vest. I remember it was a red vest, sequence on it. And it said, "Jesus is Lord" on the back of it. I'd wear that vest to the ring. So I said, I'm going to be a witness. You know, God's blessed me that I could be a wrestler. So I'd come to the ring, Jesus is Lord on my vest, throwing out those Bible tracts. And it was a compliment to me, but people that couldn't remember my name, they would say, they call me the Jesus guy. Well, I took it as a compliment, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't remember my name, but they said, you know, the Jesus guy. I think it once. But, you know, here I was in church, here I was wrestling. The people in wrestling thought I was crazy for being in church. People in church thought I was crazy for being in wrestling. So, you know, I got it either way. But I said, you know, I'm going to be a witness, show people, you know, that you can be an athlete for God. And like you was talking about, I've been in the locker room with a lot of guys, a lot of my friends that did take the wrong path. And a lot of them years later ended up did receiving Jesus and getting saved. But, you know, a lot of things go on. But yes, you know, my faith in God, because I was believing, you know, for my dreams to come true, and it was happening.
It's happening.
Here I was going out doing things, so, you know, I give Him all the glory. Then later on, you know, what you remember, the Iron Cross, it's probably after I've been wrestling about 12 years or something, 11 years. I said, well, I'm going to become a mask guy. If I started out under a mask, I always was mesmerized by the mask wrestlers.
So was you, as the name Iron Cross, was there a long period that you didn't have a mask? Or
yeah, so I wrestled probably from 84 to 95, you know, as Mike Sampson beating all the babies, you know, once I showed you in this magazine. We were bad guys, you know. Our persona was, you know, rule breakers. We were the mean, you know, the heels, you call them.
Yeah.
So I decided I want to be a good guy. Well, here I am coming out with this blonde hair and this pink robe, and people's booing me out of the building. I said, well, I got to change my image. You know, so I said, I know what, I'll just repackage myself. So, you know, I toned my body a little more, you know, got a little bigger, put on a mask, started calling myself the Masked Crusader, the Iron Cross. And I need to show you a magazine with it in it too. But anyway, you know, that persona as Iron Cross. You know, I tried a couple of different things before that. You know, I did one mask gimmick called the Battering Ram. You know, from pain, blues, and agony, the Battering Ram. That was pretty cool. I like that.
I like that name.
Yeah. You know, then I had the Mighty Destroyer. You know, there's a lot of destroyers running around. I said, man, I need something a little different. You know, I'm a Christian. I put a minister too, so I thought, I'm going to put some crosses on my mask, one in front, one on each side. Call myself the Iron Cross, because I like to lift weights. That's where the iron comes in. Then I want to tell everybody about the cross. So I'm going to call myself the Iron Cross. So that's when that came. What year was it when you saw me wrestle? Do you remember?
Gosh, I was definitely in high school.
Yeah.
Actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, did y'all do a show at Coburn High School back in around it was actually the week after Eddie Guerrero died.
Right. I remember you telling me this story last time you came.
Yes, because y'all done the bells at the show.
Chandler comes in my gym. He goes, Iron Cross. He said, you remember you come to Coburn High School and Eddie Guerrero just died. And y'all did 10. I said, I don't remember any of that, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, I can remember because, you know, Eddie Guerrero was my favorite wrestler as a kid. You know, even though he was lying, cheating, and stealing, it was like he always did it out of like, you know, he did, when he was heel, he was heel.
Oh, yeah.
But when he was a good guy, you know, he was so funny with his stuff. And he always, no matter what, it's like good guy, bad guy, he always sold to the crowd.
Yeah.
And he was such a
And I'll show you a picture when we get done of Hector Guerrero.
Is that his father, ain't it? Or his older brother?
It was a brother.
Older brother.
Brother, uncle, somewhere. There's so many Guerreros.
Right.
But I used to tag team and wrestle with Hector. He looked just like, they all look just alike. You know what I'm saying? I saw pictures now. Is that Eddie Guerrero? I said, no, that's Hector.
There's a lot of them, ain't there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds.
Yeah, Chavo.
Well, Chavo is his brother, but he has a younger one's Eddie's age. And I thought they were cousins for the longest time. But then I found out that Eddie is Chavo's uncle. I guess because it's older. Chavo's dad is Chavo Sr.
Right, so they all end up being close to the same age. But
that's what happens when you have about 30
That's
kids.
right. Yeah, so the Guerreros, they were a big family. Anyway, you were saying something about Coburn. Y'all do remember Coburn.
Y'all wrestled over in Coburn, and I remember my friend's dad, Keith Hamilton's dad, wrestled in it. And, you know, that tickled me to death. Right. And I think Willie Meade might have wrestled in it.
Yeah, Willie.
And, you know, and that's when I was like, man, you know, it was like, this is possible. Like this, it's right here in my high school.
Right.
And, you know, but, you know, the older I got into high school wrestling.
Right.
And I really didn't, even though I knew you, I knew that there were people, I didn't know how to get into it.
Right.
So once I got out of high school, I was going to college to wrestle, and I took my first fight. And, I won my first fight. I went to college. I came back. I trained a little bit more. I fought again. And then when the opportunity for me to fight for a belt came up, that was the whole reason I wanted to be a champion, is to flaunt it like a WWE wrestler.
And in your yard, the MMA, actually, I wrestled Ken Shamrock.
That's awesome.
He was
legend.
He was Vince Torelli back then. That's what he was wrestling as. He's a big old jacked up dude. I had no idea who he was. We had some good matches and stuff. Then I found out when UFC came out, he's the baddest man in the world.
Right.
So I felt pretty good. I fought the baddest man in the world. I noticed every time he got his arms around you, man, he'd lock him hands and suplex you out of your boots.
He was he was definitely a really good MMA fighter, especially back in those days.
Yeah.
But I think he's still fighting. He's like 50 years old, still fighting.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Wow. He's about my age, I guess. So
hopefully my goal is to fight until I get to that point where my body's aching just a little bit, and I'm gonna stop.
Right. We were talking a while ago. This is a little story here. You was asking me about my faith. God had been dealing with me up until I wrestled. My last match, in-ring match, was December 1st, 2018, here at St. Paul. God had been dealing with me. I feel like I need to close one door so he can open another door. Well, I stopped wrestling. I said, I didn't really tell anybody. I didn't go on Facebook. I didn't tell anybody. I just said, felt in my heart, this is it. This is a good night. Everything clicked. Everything was great. We ever got in the Christmas parade here in town. I won first place in the Christmas parade. All I done is popped out top of my car with my mask on my belt. We had a packed house at the high school there in St. Paul. I said, it's a good time to end it. It's a good time to stop. 3 months to the day, the church I got saved in, Emmanuel Chapel. Now I'm pastor in Emmanuel Chapel Church. So that's how God, when you close one door, God opens another door. But I'm still a wrestler. Always be a wrestler. It's all I've ever done since I was a teenager. So here I am, got the gym, training young guys. So I just wanted to inject that there. How God, all those years, we've passed out thousands of Bibles, tracts. And you might not even know this. Back, remember the wrestler Sting?
Yeah,
Sting?
for sure.
Me and Sting and Ted DiBiase.
I know Ted DiBiase.
Keita Koloff, some of the names.
I know him.
Greg Valentine, a few different ones. We used to go do these. There's a guy out of Texas called Ron Luce, called Choir of the Fire was the name of it. Anyway, they'd bring do these stadium shows, and they would bring out. I've got some pictures I can show you on the wall here. Sting would come in and we'd be guys. We do like these dramas. It'd be like a drama instead of a wrestling match. We had the ring, we had the pyro, we had everything. But anyway, I'd have a shirt on that said power. My buddy would have one that says drugs. Another one have alcohol. Another one have sex. What we would do, Sting would come out to the ring. Or the big boom, here comes Sting. He'd come and get in the ring. We would jump on him, start beating him up.
Now is this like blonde hair Sting or is this?
No, this is the Crow Sting.
Okay, Crow Sting.
We're beating him down. He's got the ball back. We beat him down, put chains around him, tie him up. This is like Greensboro Coliseum. We got like 23,000 people watching this. This has got they bring people in, young people. If we're doing these dramas, and they got Christian bands, stuff, a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, we're doing this drama. We beat him down, wrap him in chains, and all of a sudden they got these big sound effects. You hear a big roar in the background, and Sting cries out to God and gets saved. Here we are. We're like the little demons beating on him. All of a sudden, he breaks those chains. He comes up. Now he starts doing all his Stinger stuff. He's throwing us all over the place, clotheslining us over the top rope. He gets his ball back. Boom, hitting us in the stomach, hitting us in the back. This is a pretty cool thing. Then after it's all over and done with, after we do all of our drama, Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man, before it starts, he comes out with his money briefcase, and he's offering Sting money and all that kind of stuff. It's a real cool setup. But anyway,
basically like all the temptations you get.
They give some of the bigger names singing, they give their testimonies and stuff. DiBiase, how they got saved. thousands of people. It'd be like a Billy Graham crusade. Like I say, we've got 23,000 people, and all the aisles are jammed with people getting saved. So God's done some miraculous things throughout my wrestling
That's
career.
awesome.
You know, I've actually preached in my wrestling gear, Iron Cross, mask, trunks, and boots, and had 40 people come down and get saved. You know, so God,
I'd say the
crazy,
wrestling community is, a lot of times I've talked to, what's the word? What is it when you go out looking for souls?
Got soul women, just like that stuff.
Evangelistic.
Yeah, being an evangelist.
Evangelist. A lot of times people say, the church. Of course you got to go to church. But you're not going to find the most lost souls there. So I'm guessing your wrestling...
Jesus went out in the highways, the Bible's going to go out.
I'd say in the wrestling community, especially on the road and stuff, you find a lot of lost souls.
They kick God out of schools. But how many know when we wrestled in schools, he was there because the Iron Cross was there. I was in the schools passing out Bibles, passing out tracts. People getting saved. So, like I was telling you before, thousands of Bibles we've passed out over the years and seen thousands of people get saved at the wrestling matches.
That's awesome.
They're coming expecting to see somebody get hit with a chair and drink a few beers. They ain't expecting the guy to come out with Jesus as Lord on his vest, or see the guy come out with the Iron Cross passing out Bibles. But God used it. We've seen
that's awesome.
Seen fruit from it. People get saved. Because it'd be different. If I come out in my suit and tie, so let me tell you about Jesus. We don't want to hear about this. But I come out of the Iron Cross. People get to see you wrestle, especially the kids. They look up to you, man.
Well, they want
to hear what you got to say.
I tell a lot of people, for example, I know he's not really liked, but to me, John Cena, because that was my childhood. From I think back in 2002, he made his debut. I was 7. Right. He's still going strong. So from 7 on, that was my hero, and he does so much.
Oh, he does.
For
Make-A-Wish Foundation. I like
oh my gosh.
And there's the thing. I had a preacher tell me one time. He said, years ago when I first started in the ministry and stuff, he goes, "Listen," he said, "you're not for everybody, but you're for somebody."
Exactly.
Never forget that, because there's people that will listen to you that won't listen to anybody else. It's just like you. There's guys in wrestling. I like this guy, but I don't like this guy. I got nothing against him, but I just here's my favorite. Same way with ministers. There's some ministers I don't really get anything from them. I'm not against them. I agree with what they're saying, but I like to hear this guy. So everybody's got something different, like you said with John Cena, and just like even with the Iron Cross. I had some people like me, some didn't. So
that's like with John Cena, for example. To me, that was my superhero.
Right.
And I guess that's where I'm getting to is to a lot of people, especially when you see him live, you're like. Like me seeing you live, I think I was 9 I was 9. Right. So me seeing you live, I was like tickled to death. So I was like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. So
guys come in the gym and say, I'm going to interrupt you and tell you this about fights. They come in and say, "Didn't you used to be bigger?" I'm like, "No, you used to be smaller." Go ahead.
Even for that moment, to see you in the ring, he was my hero. Right. And it's like John Cena, he's my hero, and he uses. His persona, and kids think, right. That he's a superhero to them. Right. So he uses them to do good. So I completely understand. You go to a wrestling event, if you're not in a suit and a tie, when you come up, suit and a tie, they're going to be like, "Oh, preacher." But when you come out as Iron Cross, you're right. a superhero to most,
Yeah, it's... and not till this is just a few years back. And you won't know till you get to heaven the people you've impacted. But there was somebody come up to me at one of the wrestling shows. I think they sent it to me on Facebook. It was a Facebook. They said, "We just want to thank you for signing a picture to our son." Somebody come to a show, and this is the story. They got me to sign a picture to a boy that was in a hospital. And I didn't know at the time. I just signed Iron Cross. There's a picture. Y'all taking a picture, this and that. Didn't know anything else about it. Well, they said that he had cancer. And they said they'd give him his treatments, and a lot of times they didn't think he'd make it through the night. So I get emotional telling you this, but they said that the only way he made it through the night was they would take the picture of the Iron Cross and prop it up in front of on his nightstand, and he would look at the Iron Cross because I was his favorite wrestler, and that's how he would make it through the night.
That's awesome.
Man, I see that story. I'm like, man, I had no idea.
How can I be that special?
Yeah, You have no idea the impact. Because, growing up, I had my favorites and your heroes, and you look at guys, you don't think about people looking at you in the same light. Even you, if you're an MMA fighter, you got fans.
Man, like I said, when you told me to bring a picture, I almost passed out.
Yeah.
One of my most humbling moments for me is I went to a special needs event, and it's people with Down syndrome, autistic, cancer, things of that nature. And I still have a picture of it, and I'm sitting there, and they're like, if anyone wants an autograph, Chandler, sign it. Of course, there all kinds of kids came.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't just, special needs, but of course people came, got their autograph. This boy walks up to me, and I'm like, what's your name? He tells me his name. And I signed the autograph, and he was like, thank you so much. He's like, you don't know how much this means to me. And like right then, my heart, it felt like someone just grabbed my heart and started pulsing it. And to me, I was like, no, I told him, I said, no, you don't understand how much that means to me. You don't understand how much you mean to me. So, I get it.
They'd ask me to come do like, White Christmas for kids, just be there and sign autographs. So, yeah, we'd go, man, it'd break your heart. We'd buy gifts for all these kids and give them gifts. And at the end of the night, they're trying to bring them back to you. And we're like, no, that's for you. You get to keep it, We're just bawling and crying. Until you've helped, clothe the naked and feed the hungry, you ain't lived yet.
Absolutely.
Lead somebody to the Lord, it's just a great feeling, and I've been blessed to get to go out, and like I said, and use the Iron Cross as a platform, in that area, to help people. Like I pass out Bibles. In fact, we was at a place. Have you ever heard of Big Willard, Kentucky? Probably not.
I have not. What's it close to? Is it?
I don't even remember.
I guess it.
I just remember the name Big Willard, Kentucky. This is years ago. We go. It's way out in the country. I do remember that. I'm thinking, is anybody going to be at the show? I mean, I don't even see any stores. I don't see any. You see a house every now and then. So we get to this place to wrestle, a little school or something. We get there and the place is packed. Like, where'd all these people come from? But anyway, we get there, and this is what we're talking about. A little boy comes up to my picture table. He's talking to me. I just felt like I said, do you go to church or anything? He's like, no. I said, have you received Jesus as your Lord and Savior? And he's like, he never even heard of God or anything. I got to sit down and talk to him about God, talk to him and actually led him to the Lord right there, at the wrestling show. I'm thinking, on the way over there, it's one of them deals like, why am I coming here? I don't want to come to Big Willard, Kentucky. And I mean, there's nothing here. But then, God will send you places and have somebody there waiting on you.
He works in mysterious ways.
Hey, I used to get these different color Bibles like pink and purple and lime green, something to catch your eye, and autograph them, sign them, put your picture on the front of it or something, on a sticker or something. But anyway, I gave them out at the wrestling show, I think down in Kingsport, and run out of them. So as I'm leaving, getting ready to leave, here comes a little woman with a little girl. Man, she's crying her eyeballs out. She's wanting one of them pink Bibles. I'm like, I searched through my wrestling bag, can't find anything. I said, let me go out and look in the back of the car. May have one out there. So I'm outside digging in my trunk of my car. While I'm digging for that Bible, I hear somebody holler, hey, in the distance. I hear something. I raise up and look around. I see a truck sitting, about, I don't know, maybe 25 yards away, dome light on, door open. The guy's like, hey. I'm like, I said, yeah. I said, wait, he said, are you a preacher? And I'm like, yes, sir. He said, well, I got gout so bad. He said, I'm in so much pain right now. He said, can you come and pray for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'll go down and pray for him, lay my hands on him, pray for him, pain gone, his gout's better. We're out there having church out in the parking lot. I'm thinking, I was hunting a little girl a Bible. So I'll go back and actually found the Bible for the little girl. I'm thinking, thought my night was over with, thought I'd done everything I needed to do. And I'm out here digging in the car, find the Bible for a little girl, and get to pray for somebody. And God healed him right there in the parking lot at a wrestling show.
That's
so
awesome.
You see all kinds of miraculous stuff, and even in the back at wrestling shows. I never got a hangnail to pray for. It seemed like God always send me. One of my guys come up and say, I'm an alcoholic. I just left my wife. I'm on drugs. I'm living with this girl. What do I do? I'm like,
you get off drugs.
Right,
Your
right.
wife.
Well, let's you talk here for a minute. But you know what I'm saying? God will send you to help people and to talk to people. So.
Oh yeah, He works in mysterious ways
so
for
right
sure.
There, the Bibles, the tracts. Now I'm pastor of the church. Never Never thought in a million years I'd be pastoring the church, but here I am.
You know, for all of our local fans that listen to the podcast, where's your church located? Because someone may listen to this and say,
"Yeah, sure,
I want to come to this church." Because sometimes it's just.
I bring my mask to church sometimes, my belt. My first sermon as pastor there. Well, I started pastoring church, March the 3rd. Of course, I was an associate pastor there for years and been going there off and on all my life. On the first sermon, I brought my Rocky stand-up. I preached on the eye of the tiger. That was my first sermon there. But you will see me in the mask and anything else at the church. But it's 98 Stand Street, Castlewood, Virginia. It's called the Emmanuel Chapel.
Absolutely. And if someone's out there and they listen to this and you just feel like you want to, if you don't have a church, if you have
come and
one,
visit somebody. I preach the word.
Even if you have a church and you just don't, and you feel like it's not the church for you, or you want to just venture out, and I'm not saying leave your church. I'm just saying sometimes they accept visitors. They love visitors, or if you're just lost and you need, just guidance back, I'm sure the door's open.
I'm believing I'm going to see Chandler walking out.
Absolutely. Hey, I plan on it too. I'll bring that little baby girl too.
I love to see
absolutely.
That baby.
So before we end, I have a question I've been wanting to ask all night.
Uh-oh.
Did you ever get to see Andre the Giant?
Yes.
Now in real life, how big was he?
Well, I wrestled with Big Show and everybody. Andre was the biggest. And I seen him at the end of his career. This is like I say 89 probably. At that time, I'm gonna say he's a good 5'20". He was huge.
At the end of his career, was that the biggest he ever was?
Yeah, he got bigger. He had the disease where he kept getting bigger and bigger. And he couldn't hardly get up and down at that time. I remember him sitting in the back playing cards, with Mr. Perfect and all these, Kurt Hennig and all these guys. He sat there and play cards. They call him Boss. He says, "Hey, Boss, time to go to the ring." He'd get up and pull that strap up on his shoulder. He was a super nice guy. I got to wrestle with him probably, I'm going to say, probably 7 or 8 shows, probably.
Okay, they say he was massive.
He was massive.
I've seen his hand
big,
compared to a can. He has the record for the most, beers drank in one sitting.
Oh, yeah.
And he's holding that can, and it just looks so unreal. That's a small can. There's
he would take
way.
his hand, put it on your hand, and it'd just be unbelievable. How
I'd say
somebody be that big.
I'd say he had to be somewhat of a nice man.
See, I was in the land of giants, like you said earlier. Here I am, 5'9.5", 5'10", pushing it. 220 pounds, and you got Hogan, Andre, Ultimate Warrior. They're all giants at the time. So so it's not like it is nowadays. You got a lot of cruiserweights, all different sizes.
Oh, it's different. It's definitely different. I go back and watch a lot of the WWE Network they got now. I go back and watch a lot of
You can find me on there.
Where at?
Yeah, on the network.
On the probably the NWA part.
My guys on the Smoky Mountain tapes, and then some of the WWF tapes, some of the older stuff they're putting on there now. But some of my guys that come in and say, "Man, that sends screenshots of me." Actually, this is probably, I'm going to say, whenever it come out, probably 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago when the Owen Hart DVD come out.
Okay.
My daughter buys it for me for Christmas. So I'm sitting there watching the Owen Hart DVD. All of a sudden, Chris Jericho is on there. He's talking about what influence Owen was on him. It shows Owen Hart give a missile drop kick off the top rope. Then it shows Chris Jericho give a missile drop kick off the top rope. Well, guess who he gives it to?
You.
Me. I'm like, hey, that's me.
That's me. That's awesome.
I'm sitting there watching it. So there.
That's awesome. So, and real quick, now, say there's someone in the area that wants to come train.
Sure.
What's your rates, times, and stuff here at the, Samson's Gym for someone who would want to get into pro wrestling?
Well, I'm here every evening from 4 to 8, so anybody that wants to come down, like I say, the ring is here.
It's a nice setup too.
Right, and I try to keep the rates and stuff affordable. It's just $100 down, and then it's $20 a session to train, and that's up to the individual. I try to encourage you at least come once a week, twice if you can. But everybody's a little bit different. When you train to wrestle, some guys catch on real fast, some guys take a little longer. it's unnatural to jump up and land flat on your back.
Oh,
Or
yes.
turn a flip unless you're on a trampoline. A lot of guys, a lot of the younger guys, they're used to flipping on trampolines. And once they do a flip here and, knocks the breath out of them, makes them a little gun shy on the next one. But you build up a tolerance for it. It's just like lifting weights, doing the MMA training, whatever
Yeah,
you do.
for sure.
Once you start doing stuff, you build up a tolerance for it.
The biggest thing that I've got used to is, when with striking, I'm a wrestler. So, like, striking, I was so gunshot, I'd close my eyes and just get hit. And I was like, what's going on?
Right.
Why can't I get used to this?
Yeah.
So I completely understand. It's just repetition makes you better.
Right.
And,
And my goal down here, is to train people right, train you not to get hurt or not hurt anybody. Our motto here at Samson's Gym is, never train till you get it right. Train till you can't get it wrong.
that's awesome.
So that's the thing. When your eyes, you be able to shut your eyes and hit the ropes and know where you're at in the ring all the time. You got to come familiarize yourself with the ring. One quick story before we close here. When I was in WWF, while we was at catering, eating, I hear the ring. I'm thinking they're putting the ring up, working on it. I keep hearing a boom, boom in the ring. Kaboom, boom. The whole time we're eating, I'm thinking, what are they doing in the ring? So I step away from the table and just walk out into the arena and see what they're doing in the ring. Well, it's Shawn Michaels. He's in the ring by himself. He's backing up, looking at the turnbuckles, taking run and goes, flipping up in the ropes, boom, boom, back into the mat. I think, well, he's been doing that for an hour. And that's what he would do every night before the shows. He would get there, get in the ring by himself, because nobody else wanted to do it. Nobody else up there eating. He's in there, hitting the ropes, find out where he's at, and what did it become? The showstopper.
Right, the showstopper.
That's what I tell all my guys now. Well, somebody can't show up to train tonight. I'm like, the ring's still here. I got 2 dummies sitting over there in the corner, training dummies. One of them weighs 70 pounds, one's 120 pounds, which that's dead weight. A lot more to get your body slammed in, practice your elbow drops. I used to go to the ring, Kingsport, hot, summer. Guy's even gone. I pick on his door and his wife answered. I said, you got the key to the building out here? She said, honey, it's closed up and it's probably 100 degrees. I'm like, I don't care. I go out there for an hour, get in there sweating, hitting the ropes, taking bumps, over and over and over. That's what it takes. Anything you're going to be good at, you got to keep at it. You got to do it continuously, regularly.
Repetition, repetition, repetition.
How many workouts I've missed in the last 37 years? 0. And I'm not saying I hadn't had to reschedule something, but I've never got up and just said on workout day, I believe I'll skip today.
I think I'll tell you, no, it can't be like that. If you want to be the best, and anything we're trying is being the best in.
Where Evander Holyfield was when 2 days after he won the title, he's in the gym training on the bike, in the bag. So, why didn't you take a couple of weeks off and celebrate? Because somebody's going to be knocking at your door. So I try to push everybody to be your best. Just get in here and train, learn. And I've got a group of good guys down here. Everybody helps each other out. It's a brotherhood. You know that. Once you get in, everybody's wanting to help each other get better. So if anybody wants to come, you can, hit me up on Facebook. Mike Sampson or Michael Scarberry. I got 2 Facebooks. You can go ahead and hit me up on there and send me a message. Come by the gym. We're located. It's 3043 Fifth Avenue, St. Paul.
And it's a pretty neat setup, guys. I absolutely encourage you to come. Man, this has been the longest podcast I've done so far.
Oh, yeah.
So this is awesome. I love when
we
you
just get started.
My thing is, I feel like if you can carry on a conversation, the longer you go and it's natural, the better it is. So I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hope I didn't bore everybody.
No,
to death.
I guarantee you didn't bore anyone.
Welcome to come back anytime.
I will, and keep an eye open. Chandler Cole will be making his pro wrestling debut in 2019. I said it earlier this year. I'm going to. I promise.
God bless everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.